Good morning, guys. Here from Livorno in the north of Italy on day 4 of our cruise with Norwegian Cruise Lines on the NCL Escape. We've been having a great time so far. We've done a lot. We've gone out in Livorno. We had a good time on the ship in Cannes. And of course, Barcelona is beautiful as well. But today is our second day here in Livorno, so this itinerary called for an overnight stay in Livorno, which is right next door, 17-minute train ride from Pisa, very close to Florence as well, about an hour and a half train ride to Florence. It's close to Lucca, it's close to a lot of things. But today, we are actually going to be doing an excursion with the cruise line into Tuscany for some wine tasting. So that excursion doesn't pick us up until about 1:30 in the afternoon. It's fairly late for an excursion. Most of these excursions leave at 8 o'clock in the morning or so, very early. This one's only about 3.5 hours, and it leaves, like I said, at 1:30. So we have the morning to kind of do what we want. We slept in a little bit, and now we are going to go to breakfast again at O'Sheehan's. So we've gone to O'Sheehan's for breakfast like 3 times now. We really don't like going up to the buffet for breakfast. It's always so hectic. Anyway, there is always a lot of good food up there. We did go up to the buffet for lunch the other day, and it was kind of dirty. So we're just staying away from it, which is fine if you like it. There is, again, a lot of good food up there if you can find a way to navigate all of the people. But anyway, we're going to O'Sheehan's. They do also offer breakfast at Taste and Savor, which are 2 of the main dining establishments here on board. But that breakfast is only from 7 a.m. until 9 a.m. So you have to be, in our view, for a cruise, you have to be a pretty early riser to get to those venues for breakfast. Otherwise, there is always the buffet. But O'Sheehan's is open for breakfast until 11, and so that's kind of when we wake up. We wake up around, try to get out of the room by 9, so we go to O'Sheehan's. And it's always a good breakfast, so we're going to go there today, and then probably just hang around the ship for a couple hours, waiting for our excursion to start.
We headed down to O'Sheehan's Neighborhood Bar and Grill for breakfast. O'Sheehan's is located on the midship of Deck 7, overlooking the atrium. We really like this venue as a complimentary restaurant. Outside of breakfast hours, you can find all sorts of pub foods here, and the restaurant is actually open nearly 24 hours a day. This morning we went with some classic breakfast entrees, of which they offer several favorites. We got an egg with sausage and gravy breakfast sandwich with breakfast potatoes and bacon. And of course we got some pancakes with bacon and syrup on the side. We really do enjoy the diner-style breakfast at O'Sheehan's. After breakfast, we had some time to kill. Like we said, we didn't have to be ready for our excursion until the mid-afternoon. We took a few minutes to reflect on our evening the night before, and all of the music and entertainment venues they have on board the Escape.
So last night we listened to some music in the Skyline Lounge. They always have several musicians all over the ship in all of the lounges. The music was really good. The Golden Octaves is who we listened to. But the thing is, in that Skyline Lounge, the music is so loud. It's not a very big space, and it's connected right to the casino. So again, music good, but maybe they could turn down the volume a little bit. Like I said, it is a small space. It's not like they're singing out to the entire atrium or something like that. But there are, like I said, other venues on board, like the atrium, where they have music, like the Supper Club, they have music there, although you do have to pay an additional charge to sit and eat there and listen to the music. They also have music in the District Brew House, where we went the other day, and we actually had a really good time. We kind of stumbled upon that venue. It's kind of tucked away in the front of the ship on either side of the theater, basically. It's set up to look like kind of an industrial brew house. They have plenty of tables in there, plus they have great views out over the ocean, and they even had a little game that you could play that was kind of like a beer pong type game, just a tabletop beer pong where you can get the ball from the bartender, and you can try to defeat each other in beer pong, although we found it very difficult to actually be able to do that because the ball kind of gets away from you. But it was a lot of fun, a lot of beers on tap there that you can sit and enjoy and listen to some great music. It was a really nice venue.
Kevin thinks the beer pong was difficult, but that's just because he was losing.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think that's right.
With that, we unfortunately had to head down to the atrium for one of the most dreaded parts of any cruise, picking up your disembarkation luggage tags.
Well, guys, it's unfortunate, but we just had to go pick up these. If you've been cruising before, you know what they are. They are your luggage tags for your last day when you disembark the ship. If you're new to cruising, generally the cruise line will give you a sheet or a pamphlet or something on how to disembark the ship and how to deal with your luggage. On almost every cruise line, this is not just NCL, you'll get these instructions and you will have to pack your bag and put it out the night before you disembark. On the Norwegian Escape this time, we have to put our luggage out by 10 p.m. tonight for our disembarkation tomorrow, and then that luggage will meet us on the pier when we disembark the ship. Some cruise lines, it's midnight. We had an MSC cruise once where we didn't have to get it out until 2 in the morning. So it kind of varies depending on which cruise line and itinerary you're on. But just make sure you read through those disembarkation rules so that you're not left having to drag your luggage through the ship on disembarkation day, because that is very uncomfortable, and we've seen people with these roller bags and things like that in ports that don't necessarily have the best way of getting off the ship, meaning they don't have the nice gangways and elevators and escalators. That can lead to a very uncomfortable situation of you carrying around your luggage all morning. So make sure you get your luggage tags, get your stuff outside your door by the required time. Then you don't have to lug that stuff around the morning of disembarkation, which is already stressful because your vacation's ending. Just make sure you read through those rules. So we got the latest time slot they offered, which is 8:45 a.m., meaning we have to be off the ship by 8:45 a.m., no later than 9 o'clock a.m., so that they can turn over these rooms and get new guests in here. And that actually works out perfectly because we have a transfer to the Rome airport arranged at 9:30 a.m., so we'll be able to get off the ship, get our luggage on the pier, and get over to our transfer. But yes, always a sad day when you have to pick up those luggage tags. We will say sometimes they deliver the luggage tags to your room, and sometimes you have to go down to guest services. So this time we actually had to go down to guest services. So again, make sure you read that one pager or that pamphlet that they give you for disembarkation, because otherwise you might not be able to get a disembarkation time that you actually want if it's already taken, if it's a first come, first served basis like it was for us today.
After filling out our luggage tags, we made it lunchtime.
All right, we just got back from lunch. We ended up going to O'Sheehan's again. We have been going there a lot, and a lot of that has to do with, and we're a little bit disappointed about this, but the main dining rooms have not been open for lunch at all on this cruise. Other cruises that we've been on with NCL, usually they'll open up one or two of the main dining rooms for lunch. Yeah, so that's been a little bit disappointing, but of course the food at O'Sheehan's is delicious, and it's lunch food, pub food. So we decided to go with a fish sandwich and fish and chips and a burger. Can't go wrong with those. But anyway, yeah, we were hoping that we could get in the main dining room for lunch at least one of these days, but it's our last day, so I guess that's not going to happen. So anyway, lunch consumed, we are about to head out on our shore excursion. So this shore excursion will take us into the beautiful hills of Tuscany to a vineyard or two. We're not really sure about the details. The descriptions don't really tell you the whole story. So we're hoping it's a fun time. It's only about a 3.5-hour tour, so it's not that bad. Will get us back to the ship around 5 p.m., which is a perfect time then to just get cleaned up and go to dinner. So the way this works is you can book shore excursions on your own via the website before your cruise, or you can go to the shore excursion desk while you're on your cruise and book your excursion, pay there, get it all on your account. And then what you'll get is an envelope like this with your shore excursion tickets. Usually they'll give that to you at the beginning of the cruise, sometimes in the middle of the cruise. If you don't get it a day or two before your excursion, you should go down to the shore excursion desk and make sure they actually have your reservation on file. We had to do that on one of our last cruises. We hadn't received our shore excursion tickets. Just go down there and ask, and then they'll deliver them. But the shore excursion ticket tells you where to meet, when to meet, and it'll tell you a little bit more about the excursion. Usually you meet in like the theater or the casino, somewhere on the ship that's very central. But this excursion is telling us to meet out on the pier, so we actually have to get off the ship and go out to the pier to meet our excursion host or whoever is taking us. So we're headed down there now, and we're really looking forward to this excursion. Hopefully we have some tasty wine, and maybe they'll have like some cheeses or something for us. I know Catherine's really hoping for that, right?
Yes.
All right, so here we go.
We made our way off the ship and onto the pier, looking for our excursion group. Eventually, an NCL guide found us and ushered us out onto a bus, and we started the 45-minute ride out into the Tuscan countryside. These shore excursions are all booked via third parties by the cruise line, so you never really know the quality of the experience you're going to get until you get out there. This bus was actually very comfortable, and it was air-conditioned, which was good because it was very warm today. The low, flat, marshy lands near the sea started to give way to the hills and a landscape of what we would think of Tuscany. Within these green hills, our bus pulled into a small farm where we would spend the remainder of our excursion. This farmhouse was also a quaint little bed and breakfast that serves farm-to-table, restaurant-style food and hosts a vineyard. We were set up with a banquet table outside and some much-needed shade among the beautiful backyard of this farm. We didn't know we were going to get this, but we were actually served a full meal of meats, cheeses, breads, and homemade pasta. It was all delicious. We were also served wine that they make right here. In addition to the meal, we could also go on a horse carriage ride around the farm, which was extremely large. We could also go into the little shop and check out what they had for sale. There were several items available here, but from the prices, it was very clear that this is a popular tourist spot. If you are used to buying anything in Italy, you would notice immediately that this place was extremely overpriced. They did offer to ship things back to the US for us, which was nice, but we didn't buy anything here. We only had a few hours to enjoy the sunshine, scenery, and food, and then we hopped back on the bus and headed to the ship. While we would say that this experience was a lot of fun, we wish they had mentioned that we would be fed with a basically bottomless cheese, meat, and pasta dinner when we arrived. We had had lunch beforehand because this was marketed as a Tuscan wine tasting. However, the food really did steal the show, and the wine was really very average for Italy. The total cost of this excursion was nearly $120 per person, and to be honest, we weren't sure it was worth it for the 3.5-hour excursion, an hour and a half of which was spent on the road. We had expected to go to several wineries during this time, but it was just the one stop. If you're interested, we did link a few excursions like this down below. Generally, the prices of these excursions with a third party are much lower than with the cruise line, but make sure you get back to the ship on time. For your reference, this is the title of the excursion we went on. Eventually, we made it back to the ship, and we had a very fun and entertaining last night on board.
So if you're a fan of shopping on cruises, you'll be happy to hear there's actually a very large shopping center. They have it called Trade Winds. That's all of the NCL ships have a Trade Winds area with a bunch of different shops, and they have a very large one on the Escape. So we went in there, perused a little bit. We were a little bit put off to be paying tax. It says duty-free at the store and duty-free everywhere. Of course, you're out at sea, but they still charged us a 21% VAT tax rate. On a cruise like this, they always have a duty-free shop, duty-free stores, but you have to be careful. You have to make sure they are actually duty-free, because if the cruise decides to be within that 20 miles or whatever it is to be in Spanish waters or Italian waters, you will get charged the VAT tax on those items. And Spain is 21% VAT tax rate, so we got charged that. A little bit put off, but it was only a few dollars. So just be aware that if you're buying something big, you'll want to make sure you're doing it duty-free, or that you are truly in international waters where you won't be charged that VAT tax rate. They also have a bunch of little specials on the first day, and they do have specials throughout the cruise. We're used to that. You get little flyers and things like that in your Freestyle Daily, which is the daily planner that they give you. So look out for those if you're looking for souvenirs or jewelry or anything like that. They always do these little promotions, things like that. Look out for those if you are into shopping on these ships, but also watch out for that tax, because it's not always truly duty-free. Wow, guys, so we just had an incredible experience here on the Escape. I mean, it was an entertainment masterpiece tonight. We were very impressed with the entertainment on board here. So, of course, we got back from our time out in Livorno, our time on the wine tour. And the first thing we did is we got a quick dinner in the Manhattan Room. Very good. Again, we really liked the food in the Manhattan Room and all of the main dining rooms on board, really. We had to go with the chicken cordon bleu. That's one of my favorites. And then, of course, Catherine went with this huge piece of chicken with mashed potatoes and some vegetables. And then, of course, we rounded it all off with dessert. Yes, dessert, of course. Really good. Tonight it was carrot cake. So after dinner, we went to two different shows. The first one was Rumors, which is in Sid Norman's Poorhouse, and this is with a Fleetwood Mac cover band, and they were absolutely fantastic. The show was kind of like a storytelling of how the band evolved through the creation of the Rumors album, and then of course they sang all of the songs, side A and side B, from the Rumors album, and it was really good. I mean, every time we've been to the show twice now, and each time we've been to this show, we have really enjoyed it. There's a lot to see, and of course, the singers are fantastic. You also hear a lot of classic rock songs that are Fleetwood Mac, and for me, I don't identify them as Fleetwood Mac, but then when I heard this Rumors album, I was like, oh yeah, all those songs are Fleetwood Mac songs. Really good if you're a Fleetwood Mac fan, really good if you're a classic rock fan, or just a live performance fan. It was amazing. And then after that, we went to the Broadway style show called The Choir of Man. And this has been on the NCL Escape for a while now, but this was actually this cast's first performance, which we found out at the end. And it was absolutely fantastic. So the story of The Choir of Man is basically, it's kind of like a Cheers vibe where it's all of these guys who are singing and they all are in this bar, and it's the story of the bar kind of going around each of these guys' lives, and they sing very, very recognizable songs. There aren't any original songs in this production. It's all songs that you would know and can sing along to, and it was awesome, and it was really funny, a really good use of our time. It was about an hour and 15 minutes long, which was just perfect. So it was a really good entertainment night for us. We always have liked the entertainment on board these ships. So again, this kind of solidified our preconceived notions of what entertainment is like on an NCL ship. We really enjoyed it. So anyway, that was great, but unfortunately, disembarkation is looming. So we will talk to you guys after we get off of the ship. So one of the really nice features of this ship that we love is the waterfront, which is basically a promenade deck that wraps all the way around deck 8, and you can just come out here. There's plenty of seating. There's also seating for all of the restaurants pretty much that have outdoor seating, so it's a really nice atmosphere. It's nice at the end of the day to just grab a drink and sit out here and enjoy the music over the loudspeakers.
The next morning we woke up in Civitavecchia and had to gather our things quickly to get out the door to make it down for breakfast before we had to get off the ship.
Good morning, guys. We have disembarked from Civitavecchia. We are now in our hotel in Rome. Unfortunately, our vacation on the NCL Escape is over, but we had a fantastic time. This morning, though, of course, was pretty hectic, so, we're talking to you from the hotel. It's always hectic on disembarkation day. We luckily had until about 9 o'clock in the morning to get off the ship, so we were able to finish last-minute packing. Of course, our full suitcases needed to be outside the door by 10 p.m. last night, but we were able to do some odds and ends packing in our backpacks that we would carry around the ship. And then we were also able to go to one of the main dining rooms for breakfast.
Just given our schedule, this is the first time we've been able to go to a main dining room for breakfast because these main dining rooms are only open from 7 a.m. until 9 a.m. in the morning for breakfast, which I don't know about you, but I do not like waking up before 9 a.m. on a holiday. So that's something that we haven't really been able to do on this cruise. But it was really good. They have a full menu of breakfast items, different from O'Sheehan's, different from what's up in the buffet. And so it was a really good experience, really good food. And then, of course, we had to get off the ship. Disembarkation was super easy. We just had to listen for when our luggage tag color was called, and then we could get off the ship. But again, we could stay on the ship until 9 a.m. if we wanted to, which of course we did. And then the luggage was just sitting for us at the port in the luggage tag area. Super easy to find. If we wanted to, we could have been off the ship and out in about 5 minutes. But we will say something about the Civitavecchia port. My goodness, was that shuttle bus line long. It stretched for it seemed like miles. And there were people sitting in line, and we had to wait for a transfer. We booked a transfer ourselves to the Rome airport because we knew it would be such a cluster on disembarkation day. And we saw people that got in line when we got out there. We were waiting for about 20 minutes for our transfer, and they still hadn't gotten on a shuttle bus by the time we left. It was ridiculous. And the shuttle bus in Civitavecchia goes to the Civitavecchia station, which you can take into Rome. And the Rome port, it's not really in Rome. It's in Civitavecchia, which is about an hour, hour and a half north of Rome. So if you are disembarking in Civitavecchia, or you have Civitavecchia on an itinerary for your cruise, which a lot of cruise lines have, just be aware that if you want to go to Rome, about 3 hours of your day is going to be travel to and from the cruise port. It is far from Rome, and we would definitely recommend, especially seeing those long lines for the shuttle bus, if you want to go to Rome, you should probably book an excursion. This is one of those rare instances where we say, yes, book an excursion, because it is just so far away from the cruise port. It doesn't make sense to put yourself in a position where you're not going to get back to the ship on time. But anyway, we had an amazing cruise on the NCL Escape. We hope that you guys enjoyed coming along with us, and we'll see you in the next one.